live. Okay, it is 5 o'clock straight up on November the 12th, and I call this meeting of the CRCRC to order. We'll start with roll call.
Jay Van Bavel.
Brian Ryder.
Dave Bench.
Duke Garwood.
Tom Farrell.
Okay, very good. And then we'll move along to item number 2, consent agenda, and trust everyone's had a chance to have a look.
I have read them. I will move adoption of the minutes of the Tuesday, October 22 meeting as written and handed out as part of our package.
And I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All
I
opposed?
I abstained because I wasn't there. So.
Okay, you'll abstain. That's fine. So we have
But we had the margarita
We have
machine.
4 ayes and an abstention. Okay? It still passes. All right, regular agenda, discussion and item number 3. This is probably gonna be a quick meeting. Discussion and possible action on emails and letters to the CRCRC from October 22nd through November 11th, 2024. Do we have anything, Michaela?
We do not have any emails received during that time frame.
Okay,
What days did you, the minutes?
that was from our last meeting till this meeting.
Okay.
All right? And, yeah, I haven't seen any emails.
That's
I
October
haven't seen
22 to
anything.
November 11.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think everybody's been wrapped up in the election, so they're not,
Yep.
okay?
Okay.
They expressed their opinions through the chats, right?
There was a bit of that. There was a bit of that. So,
What chat is that?
the WhatsApp application that's Rolling Wood.
Oh, I've never looked at that.
Yeah, you'd be entertained.
Check it out.
Okay.
It was a good one. Anyway, so moving along then to regular agenda item number 4, update and discussion regarding the November 6th Planning and Zoning meeting, which was last week. And I just wanted to bring you up to date. What we had taken forward were the codified recommendations from CRCRC on building height and the discussion that we had had on appendages on the side, you know, what could hang on the side of the house.
Did that get drafted into legislative language?
Yeah,
by
it
the
did. You'll
lawyers?
recall, you know, all the way back to September 4th when we had our joint meeting with City Council, that we actually had a codified version of our recommendation.
I haven't seen that.
Oh,
Can
sure you
manage to
have.
pass that around?
I have it, I think I have it here with me. Anyway, yeah, and it's pretty good. But what happened?
And that is supposed to carry forward our,
Yeah, that is our recommendation. That is our recommendation in a, you know, kind of a
in legalese.
formal, in legalese.
Legalese.
Yeah, but I had asked P&Z that if they were not ready to pass this thing at this meeting, this is in the previous meeting, that they needed to come with recommendations, suggestions, or something that were some sort of alternate solution. And Mike Rhodes did just that. He came back with a recommendation or a suggestion that instead of using a parallel plane concept, that we do a thing called segmenting, which essentially establishes planes, multiple planes, on a property site that are anchored on 4 corners, and that those things become kind of the basis for our tenting, and I guess ultimately for whatever our building height is going to be. And these planes can be different, would be different heights. They would be averages of a specific zone. The way he had suggested it, it would be 40 feet, 40 feet, and 40 feet. All right? Now, I have since learned that I think this is a result of the discussion that Duke and Alex had with both Mike Rhodes and Tony Stein, that this was being offered kind of as an aside, as a possible solution to our dilemma of not being able to get parallel planes
Average
passed.
should be the same,
So,
shouldn't it?
and Alex has sent me what she sent, what they talked about since. Now I know about it. This is, when this came up that afternoon, it's the first time I ever saw it.
Kinda like
Is
that.
this triggered only by lots that have a significant amount of terrain, or is it?
Yeah, it really wouldn't matter too much on a flat lot. I mean,
No.
it's kind of moot on a flat lot, but on a
It's
terrain lot,
targeted
yes.
towards slope lots.
Yeah. Would you like to talk about it?
No, I mean, it's.
Why don't you?
You explained it. I just gave a little graphic demonstration of
Yeah.
what the 40-foot segments, how that relates to the parallel plane. That makes sense?
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know that,
This
no.
is kind of
Wouldn't
what
the average be the same?
he brought.
Should be,
Okay.
shouldn't it?
It's actually, it's really, whenever you get down to it, it's really close to the parallel plane. It's just that it flattens it out a bit.
It gives a little more relief.
Yeah.
Or we were gonna try to do that anyway at one time, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look,
Well,
I don't know that it makes a
Go ahead.
difference.
My,
go ahead, speak.
I mean, the deal is, that's borrowing from the McMansion ordinance in Austin, okay? To be really straight up
the
and
bottom
blunt.
piece,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what you're looking at.
Yeah.
And I mean, look, it's a great manipulation of how to, be a little bit more precise and give some consideration to that slope, especially, when you do it in increments, 30, 40 foot, whatever he's suggesting, 40 foot.
40-foot
And
lengths.
we were always trying to sort of stay away from anything that looked like the McMansion ordinance.
Yeah.
But at the same time, hey, we don't ever have to mention that, but I'm totally comfortable with that. We had a long discussion about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Duke, I know we talked about something similar to that, but let me ask you, from the street level, it's not gonna be any different than this, is it?
Probably not.
And that's what we're gonna see.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, it wouldn't be
And
any
that's,
different.
that's the
Yeah.
part
Would-
that
Yeah, as
bothers
long
me.
as the
you
tinning
end,
is
so
there.
you end up with stepped up heights regardless.
Or
Yeah,
step
so
down.
it gives a little bit of consideration for front to back, but if you have some cross slope, it helps be considerate of that as well. Because if you average those 4 points for that 40-foot segment, you're gonna figure all those pieces into it.
It's not gonna be imposing from the street,
That's,
and that's the,
the
Yeah.
looming factor goes
Either
away.
imposing from the street or looming over the neighbor. Those are the two keys, in my opinion, of what we were trying to get
absolutely.
Well,
get at.
Well, I've always been all about 35 feet and managing to that regardless. And this will do that. This will manage it to 35 feet. Plus, with the tenting in place, it still respects what we had already recommended, which was the 25 feet at 10 feet. And so 20, so it really kind of does the same thing.
Excuse me.
Now,
Bless
what
you
it,
again.
and what it does too is it removes this apparent confusion about infinite number of points where, you in any point on the
Yeah,
on the
pick one
topography.
point and it deals with everything on the lot, whatever the
That's right.
slope is, which is what we've got right now.
Right.
Which
Literally,
is
it's
what allows
almost-
the extra height.
it's-
If
it-
you've got a slope down toward
Yeah.
the street and you pick a point high in the back and
Yeah.
poof, you get a 45 feet.
Now, the
Huh.
thing with this is that in the past, when people have come here and made their proposals about what it is we should be doing, it always came down to, no matter what, we were gonna give forgiveness. No matter what, that was gonna be the thing. There was gonna be forgiveness built into the algorithm. And I don't think that that's what the public wants. They don't want forgiveness, they want 35 feet. And this gets this. This gets you accommodation for sloped lots in a way that is understandable and without forgiveness. Just works, just does.
Okay.
It
So-
also, it sort of harkens back to our own current ordinance and gives some of the benefits that does. Though it's a little more restrictive, it still sort of gives some of that relief that our current ordinance does. And, in light of having quoted someone about winners and losers, the real deal is that our current ordinance gives a significant advantage to slope lots.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the percentage.
Well, to those that slope toward the street,
Yeah,
yes.
it's somewhere between 20 and 30% benefit that you get. So, we're trying to sort of take that away from them in a certain sense, but this way we're sort of doing a more gradual effort.
So
All right,
what,
well, all that is just information. I mean, we did our job by putting a proposal in play.
Yeah.
right,
And
yeah, we're finished.
Yeah.
and realize
Yeah.
Alex and I meeting with Tony and Mike was just an attempt to give them more you know, a better understanding of what, you know, what the history lesson was we'd gone through, and to give them more tools as P and Z to, if you got a better idea, great. Here's all the pieces and parts
Okay.
that you had to work with, and I think that great discussion came out of it, such as that.
Yeah.
Good. Well, the bottom line, to me, is we're not gonna have an imposing view from the street, and we're not gonna do that to our neighbors. And it just seems like to me that should be okay with this. Other than
Yeah.
that, how we get there,
Yeah, in my opinion, it still manages the edges,
Yeah.
which is that's been our biggest priority all along.
absolutely.
Okay.
So what came out of this discussion is the shared desire to have a consultant come in and look at both approaches, the parallel plane and this segmented approach, and see if either or both of them work for doing what it is we need to do. So what is going on? There's going to be a motion, or there's going to be an item on the city council agenda this coming week, next week, about subsidizing or paying for this consultant to come in. Now, the consultant is going to be selected by P and Z. And it won't be, won't be our internal folks, our internal experts. It'll be somebody outside, and it won't be K-Freeze.
Dave,
Yeah,
quick question.
Yeah.
All right, so we committed, I wanted us to
Yeah.
have a workshop.
right,
Somewhere along this line.
right.
Couldn't you do it by having the people that are gonna approve these plans
Uh-huh.
do both of these two approaches on some lots and look at it that way and go, okay, this is how that would work? Cause they're gonna have to be brought up to speed anyway.
I'm not sure, what, Mike Rhodes has somebody in mind, I don't know who it is,
All right.
okay? It's not K-Freeze.
Well, that's okay.
And-
I'm
and-
just saying.
Well, K-Freeze are the people that do what
No,
you're
I
saying.
understand, but
You know,
they're
the
gonna have
ones.
to do this
They
same
eventually
thing
will have to do it.
anyway.
Yeah.
And so if you had them doing it
Yeah.
and then looking at the results during a work session, you've kind of knocked two birds with one stone, it looks like to me. And we're gonna have to pay for them. They're gonna charge us to learn how to do this anyway. So
Yeah.
it would save the city some money, in my opinion. But
Yeah,
P and Z is independent.
Right.
They need to get to do what they should do.
Yeah, and my
Like
only
I
concern,
said,
my only
Tom,
concern
we-
is timing. We need to get this done in case you haven't been around town for a little while. We've got a number of buildings. Nikki, how many
Yeah.
demo permits are out right now?
Currently active, there's probably about 6.
So that fences have
Yeah.
gone up around things, and
Yeah.
they're under the old ordinance with the high point
I-
and.
Yeah,
I couldn't
we
agree
need-
more,
We
but-
need to bring this process to a conclusion. It's been
I-
going on close to 2 years now.
Yeah.
I
It's out
agree.
of our hands.
Whatever gets us through this door.
Well,
I
Dave,
think
let
is
me
what we
ask
need
you,
to
would
do.
you mind just making sure the P and Z knows that maybe that they consider that as an option?
I think we're past that.
All right.
This,
Then don't worry
yeah,
about
the
it.
motion was made, we
Don't
got
worry
it.
about it. I'm not gonna stop it.
And I
That's
helped
fine.
craft whatever's going on the, city council next week. And
Okay. I'm not gonna get in front of a train.
It's up to Michaela. What are you gonna do?
Don't worry about it. We're going.
We're good.
All right.
All right.
Okay, yeah, we're moving forward. Okay,
Okay.
so that was what, okay, the other thing that came out at the P and Z meeting was, if you'll recall, when we talked about what kinds of things we're allowing in the side setbacks and the front setbacks and the rear setbacks in terms of air conditioning and all that, we'd handed that to Jerry to craft into something that we could propose. Well, what he put together kind of met the need, but it had other things in it as well, and it was a document that we really couldn't approve for P and Z. So I'm gonna go back and hammer out something that's probably more of a bulleted list of things that we said that we're gonna do, and then bring that to P and Z. We're not changing any of the recommendations. We're just gonna write it up in a more succinct fashion.
Is this in any way part of the discussion going on around the city that I think is going on around the city about the big playhouse over on Nixon that was built
No,
in the
that's-
setback area?
That's a different thing altogether. That's that's accessory buildings. And, what are we doing with that?
I don't know that we've done anything
We did talk about
with that.
accessory buildings. We are going to have to rule on it, or at least make some kind of recommendation. Not us.
Not us,
P and Z.
P&Z.
P and Z. P and Z. And it, I'm trying to think, where are we with that? Michaela, do you recall exactly where we are?
We have an
Or
ordinance,
Nikki?
accessory building ordinance.
We do, yeah, but there's, oh, I know, excuse me, I'm sorry, I remember now. What we did was, we created a subcommittee within P and Z. I'm sorry, I don't have notes on this, so, we created a subcommittee with 3 people on it from P and Z to look at accessory buildings and to look at all the various things that are in the current ordinance that are all covered, they cover them all the same way. You know, tool sheds, playhouses, grandma shacks, whatever it is, they're all the same thing, and try to separate those things out in such a way that you can talk about one that might have plumbing or not have plumbing or whatever it is, and what setback requirements are, versus another that may have different setback requirements, might be a little more casual. So that's gonna happen, and we're gonna have that reported on in the next P and Z meeting. There are 3 members on the subcommittee, and I told them, I said, this is the way we do it in CRCRC, this is the way I wanna do it this time. So,
Okay.
okay, so next P and Z meeting, stay tuned for that. We ought to have something to talk about. And that's kind of all that happened in that meeting. We went for,
What is it, did you have a quick list in your head about what parts that we've done that have been moved up to P and Z? And then we've got a couple of things, I think, on this agenda to move
yeah,
up.
nothing moved forward in this past meeting. We had, in a previous meeting, moved forward lighting with some changes. And we had moved, trees, and the root zone, critical root zone protection, and, what else is out there? We had moved the driveway ordinance up, and P and Z had moved it up, but it didn't get passed by city council, they didn't like it. And, I think that's
Okay,
kind
all
of
right.
where we are.
Okay,
So, so we're still waiting on this, try to get this building height business resolved, and then like I say, the appendages on the side of the building,
Okay.
what's allowed in the
All right, thank
setbacks
you.
and 2 feet and all that, okay? So, nothing, it's all moving forward, not as quickly as we wanted to, but at least it's moving.
when does P and Z meet?
The first Wednesday of the month.
Wednesday, so the next meeting will be on Wednesday the 4th, December.
4th of December. Okay?
Only
You're
once a
certainly
month?
welcome to come. Huh?
Only once a month?
It's only once a month.
First Wednesday of every
Yeah.
Well,
That's it.
they should copy our work and meet twice a month.
January will be pushed.
That's why we're moving so quickly, because we double it. Okay. Anybody have any questions or additional discussion around this? I just wanted to bring you up to speed. It's going all right.
Okay,
Not as fast as we want, but
All right.
it's going.
I'm just
All right.
sensitive to the timing.
Moving along to regular agenda item number 4. Just, I
5.
think we're possible discussion on facility. Oh, I'm looking at the P and Z one. Sorry. Where am I?
5,
Well, I've got to find it first, Tom.
discussion possible.
Okay, discussion and possible action on a recommendation for drainage, impervious cover, and floor area ratio. Now, we had already passed this once, and I'd had some discussion with one of our council members. And so I imposed myself on Brian to take another look at it and see if we could insert some
Yeah,
new
we tweaked a few things about what drainage areas we were in, and a couple of perviouses became impervious because I had things reversed in my mind, and other than that, though, it's fundamentally what we had before, and the final version is out in our package, and hopefully everybody's had
I read
a
it.
chance to read it and look at it.
And I
The one thing got struck, though. We had, Jerry Fleming sat with us, and Nikki was there with us. You got credit. But Duke was not. So in the first draft, I had suggested that the honorarium be paid for those in attendance, that Jerry get what Duke would have otherwise been paid.
That was
That
the
did
only
not
time-
make the current
And
graduation.
Duke, I want you to know this was the only time we've actually paid people for these meetings.
Yeah, that's right.
I bet.
And Duke didn't know that was happening, or he would have been here probably.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, seriously, this has been through a couple of drafts, and I think is the final work product.
And what I'm looking for here is for us to approve this new version so that we can move it along to.
Well, I make a motion. that we
Fundamentally,
approve
what we
this.
said was, drainage is something the city has been working on. They've got big projects going, they've got millions of dollars in bond issues, that we don't need to inject ourselves into that in any way. Florida area ratio, people didn't like, Florida area ratio, people didn't like, and we discussed it, and the impervious cover issue, we dealt with the tree issues and the setbacks, and that seems to be the way people wanted to go, and so this is 4 pages of explaining why we are not moving forward with a recommendation on any of those issues.
And I make a motion to approve this and submit it to P and Z.
Okay, we have a motion. We
I
have a
will second.
Okay. Any discussion?
So, I've read the report, it's very nicely done, thank you very much. I can even understand it. But the basic conclusion is no different from what was in the previous report.
It is different in
That's
this
correct.
regard. It is in the last paragraph, there is a suggestion that we don't have the expertise within this group to do what needs to be done with regard to drainage and impervious cover and FAR. But the model that we used for CRCRC with having 2 on-board architects really helped steer us through an awful lot of our zoning issues. And we think that it would be a good idea that another committee that would draft expertise from the citizenry here in Rollingwood be put together to look at drainage and impervious cover issues and make recommendations based on what our survey results had said. So that's the difference. What it does is it gives the council person who was interested in doing this a leg in to be able to say, well, CRCRC is supportive of taking another step with this, taking another look at it.
Okay. Great.
Is that all right? But it's not us. We don't do it. Okay, any more discussion? Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes carried. Good, moving along. Regular agenda item number 6, discussion and possible action on a recommendation for building code enforcement. I'm sorry, folks, I had just put this together this morning. I had been working on it for a few days, but I had to go back and do the deep dive into the survey results again. And so I wrote up 2 paragraphs on this, and if you agree that it is what we decided.
Did you run your analysis by Wendy?
No, I missed that step.
Okay, good.
I missed that step. You're right. I
Just
should do
wanted to
that.
check.
We'll take it. Are you making a motion?
No.
What's the issue, Dave?
Duke, would you repeat your?
No.
No, okay.
You won't repeat.
I'll tell you
I'll tell
later.
you later. I'll tell you later. Okay.
I thought it was just fine and reflective of what where our discussions ended up. When we talked about hangings and we talked about big numbers for cutting heritage trees and whatnot, but we ultimately decided that it was not our job to make those
Right.
decisions, and we'd punt this on upstairs to the decision
Dave,
makers.
I only have one comment.
Okay.
And that I really believe that the mayor and city administrator should do the review of the staffing levels and make a recommendation to the council.
I can change the wording to say that. I thought that's kind of what I was saying, but It's not to us,
No.
it's just, but fine.
Well, but the council's not supposed to do that. That's supposed to be done by the mayor and in conjunction with our city administrator.
Okay,
What, the staffing levels issue?
Yes,
Oh.
yes.
okay, so we'll leave it to
Well,
the,
okay, it doesn't say who's gonna do that, but
oh, no, it does, it said
we're
we
just
leave it.
making a recommendation
Well, the
that
last
there be a
sentence is we
review.
leave it to city staff and city council to consider these
Yeah.
recommendations, but you want that to read, we leave it to city staff and the mayor?
I would put mayor first,
Yes.
and the mayor and,
City administrator.
and city staff. I'll just leave it that way. Because I think that and just so you know, the way I would word it is the mayor, city staff, in conjunction with recommendations from the council. So if you don't put the council, they're gonna jump in, but our founding documents to the city gives that authority to the mayor on that, so,
On
Got it.
recommending staffing,
yes.
okay.
He's in charge, he or she are in charge.
I think that what you're saying is within the language that's there, but I have no objection, and
I am
will second a
making-
friendly amendment that we add the
I
term
have a-
mayor and city staff to review current staffing
A
levels.
comment, if I could. Where it says set the penalties for ordinance violations to the maximum allowable, I also think they should be enforced to the maximum allowable. You know, we have in the ordinance now that you can shut down construction, you know, if they violate the ordinance. And I would just encourage it to be enforced to the maximum that we put in the ordinance.
I will tell you, when we put that in there, you take away from the city staffs being able to work with a builder as they go through, because it may be something that they're, you know, that's happening that may not be the builder's fault on that. And, I mean, it happens like that. And, but as long as the penalties are at the maximum, because if we shut down the job, a builder, that really could be hurting one of our neighbors, because if they're trying to get in this house and they get their schedule screwed up. I understand what you're saying, and I want that to be part of the penalty phase of that, but we have to give some deference to how they have to deal with minor infractions, I should say.
With that in mind, Tom, would you make any recommendations for changes to the wording as it is right now, or?
Well, I think Jay's got a good point.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't
yeah.
want, if it's a very minor issue, the code still allows you to do a red tag. Right now, generally, we try to work with the smaller things and try to get them to fix that before we issue a red tag and a stop work order.
Well, I guess the wording "and being enforced effectively" is good enough, because that allows them leeway to do the maximum penalty if that's what is needed to make it an effective.
Well, I think the real message goes to our judge, because the judge is, I mean, we can assess a fine of X amount of money, $2,000 a day on most of these. And it goes to the judge, and the judge may go, okay, I'm gonna charge you $100. And so our message to the judge, who is appointed by us, or appointed by the mayor, and the city council, is, okay, when we have one of these, we wanna see it to be meaningful. Cause we have had.
The language we would add then would just be "and enforced effectively."
Yeah, I could live with that too.
Jay, is that okay with you?
If that's not taken care of in the first statement, it says to ensure the
says
ordinance are
enforced
being
effectively.
enforced.
Well, the first one is staffing levels to enforce it effectively, and then this just mirrors images to say that what we're going to
Yeah.
do is enforce it effectively. I think we need to have the parallelism there.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
yeah.
makes
I
sense.
think that'd be great.
All right, so the friendly amendments are adopt this with, as number one, mayor and city staff to review current staffing levels, et cetera. And number two, at the end of number two, add the terms "and enforced effectively."
I would just add, and city council to consider and act on those, cause they have to approve the budget.
I've already got that in there.
Okay.
I put that in.
Good.
Okay, I think you'll be happy with what I just did.
So, just for my information, so a fine that's assessed, it goes to the judge?
Yeah.
To see if they're actually going to be assessed that fine?
Yeah, we can't just automatically, do that, although I wanted to put a stock out back beyond y'all on the deal there for
That's even
violators.
if they don't contest it, it still goes to the judge?
The judge will then issue a ruling.
Because when I get a speeding ticket, which I haven't gotten, but, that doesn't.
That goes to the clerk and.
Yeah,
then
it doesn't
she-
go to the judge unless I contest it, right?
Right, if you contest it, it goes to the judge.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let me read this
No,
back to you and you
I-
tell me that
Look,
it's
they
okay
just-
or not.
Hang on just one
Okay.
second. Jay, I'm sorry, if you don't contest it,
They've just got a
I
sheet.
think I think the judge still needs to rule on that, cause that's, but I don't know if they do or not.
I
to
don't
be
know.
If
honest.
you do,
I'm sorry, I don't know, Jay.
Okay.
I've never had anyone that I was gonna collect on that didn't get, I've had people just pay it. That's not true. I have had people just pay it.
I think you've got a schedule, but I don't know the answer to the question.
I don't
I have never,
Sorry.
I have no experience with it. I was offered the municipal judge, position one time many years ago and ran away from the opportunity.
It was your one chance
Smart.
to be
That's a
honorable.
smart
That's
guy.
all I
You're
can
smart.
tell you.
You're a smart
We
man.
gave it to
The
you.
only time
There
I
you
could
go.
ever be addressed
See,
as
that's-
the honorable Brian Rudd.
That's why we have you on this group. Okay, so I'm gonna read this back to you. We haven't changed anything to the text of the top paragraph. Just item number or the number one recommendation is review current staffing levels and processes to ensure that ordinances are being enforced effectively, and if not, take corrective action. And then two, set the penalties for ordinance violations to the maximum allowable and enforced effectively. Does that work?
I will accept that as
Well, where's the mayor?
to the-
And then,
That's the next one. He's
and then
coming
the
up.
next one, we leave it to the mayor and city staff in conjunction with recommendations from city, consider these recommendations
Yeah.
and act on them as they see fit.
I'm good.
Good?
Yeah.
All right, a friendly amendment is accepted by the proposer. I second, accept the friendly amendment.
Okay. Very good. We good? All right. So we have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Ayes carry.
Did you get it first? Who made? Yeah, who made the motion? So, who made the motion?
Let's say I did.
Tom made the motion, I
And Brian
seconded.
seconded. Both.
Tom accepted amendments as friendly amendments, I seconded that.
Okay.
Okay, sounds
All right.
yes, thank you.
So this will go to, I don't know that, I'm not even sure how to dispose of this really, because I don't think it needs to go through P and Z. I think it's just something that we are recommending. It's,
I think it needs to go to P and Z.
I'll take it to them. I don't know what they'll wanna do with it. It's really, you'll recall, whenever we first started this up, when we were getting into the survey, I'd actually originally put a question in there about enforcement, and there was some discussion around that, and
Yeah.
agreement that we don't wanna do that.
No.
We don't wanna do that. And so, and that it really wasn't our place to do that. But given the number of people that had brought enforcement up in the survey unsolicited, it's irresistible. You gotta say something.
And I think everything we do should go through P and Z. P and Z is a,
Okay.
every ordinance should go through P and Z.
All right.
and
Play it safe.
Period.
Okay, we'll take it to P and Z. All right, we're moving along to our final agenda item, which is the discussion of possible action on finalizing CRCRC business. Folks, we're out of stuff. far as I know.
What do we have left to do?
Well, I think we gotta tidy it up, you know, I wanna get something together that's kind of, if not comprehensive, at least cohesive, that it, you know, it addresses, it lists out the things that we had considered, has the answers and our recommendations in it and all that, and there's some kind of a document, and then just kinda lay that at the feet of P and Z and say, this is what we did, this is it.
And I would, the last question I would ask is anything else that they think we should do?
That's a fair, okay, that is a go forward item.
And if we're getting near the end of the beginning of the end, if not the end, could we perhaps consider monthly meetings at this point?
I'm gonna ask you guys to stay on board, all right? And that we call meetings at our regular time as we need them, okay?
Okay.
So,
If
don't,
and
I
as-
don't
if and
expect
as
that
we
we're
need
gonna
them.
need a meeting in 2 weeks,
Yeah.
okay? Is that fair?
Yeah.
So that we don't, I'd like to keep our meeting dates still held for us, but not, and then we'll discuss whenever, as we get closer to them, whether we wanna have our meeting. Whether there's anything for us to meet about. Is that okay? At least for the,
Yeah.
let's say through the end of the year, okay? Just so that we can hold the space.
So,
Is that fair?
yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So in regards to the question about a cohesive, like, summary document, is that something that you would kinda like take a stab at pulling? I mean,
Yeah,
you're the one most equipped with all the
yeah.
history and, you know.
You're gonna have to do that for
Take
P
it.
and Z anyway, I'm gonna just tell you.
That's right,
So
yeah.
you
Take
might
a
as well
shot
do
at
one
this
shot.
And then let us look at it and give you some feedback.
And that's
Yeah.
what I see our last meeting being due.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think that's it. That's it.
Right.
And,
That would mean we
that's
would
what- and
have-
it won't be ready in 2 weeks.
Understood.
But, yes, yeah, I
But
agree,
are
and I'll take it on, it's fine. A lot of it's written already, you
Yeah.
know, I just have to pull it together.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, you're just putting together a notebook with, our charter and then our recommendations.
Yeah,
Maybe,
unless there's something else that somebody wants to fit into this, you know,
I'm not
the
sure-
the
so
questions are
sure we
right,
should ask
you know,
that.
is there anything else out there that we're supposed to do?
Well, I think that's what
Yeah.
you asked P and Z.
Ask
Yeah,
them,
right.
see whether there's something else.
And I will get that in
No,
the
no,
next
no,
P and Z, okay?
Here's our charter.
I make a
Chick, chick,
motion
chick,
to
chick, chick.
adjourn.
Thank you, goodbye.
I am good with that, okay. We have a motion to adjourn, second?
Second.
Okay, a motion, a second, any discussion around that?
That'll make this one of the shortest meetings we've ever had.
I would think.
Close.
Okay.
38 minutes, 37 minutes.
Okay.
Woo-hoo.
Hearing none?
Congratulations are given to the chair for
No
operating
kidding.
so efficiently. All in favor, aye.